What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And today, we are going to be doing just an overall review of the One Piece Treasure Cruise 9th anniversary and give my thoughts and opinions on it. And I mean, I know a lot of people in the community have very strong thoughts and opinions about the anniversary and how it all transpired. And we're going to go through everything from start to finish, essentially, and kind of determine whether it was a good anniversary or not. Now, we start here on the Twitter. I'm just going to go through Twitter because all of the information is essentially compiled here. So we've got the Treasure Cruise countdown quiz. I mean, to be honest, this was cool, but I mean, a lot of the questions were just pretty trash, in all honesty. And then we had the free multis leading up to the anniversary. I thought that was fine. I mean, they typically have done this over the past few years, and the fact that they have introduced the Luffy, Ace, and Sabo from the global anniversary as pullable characters on these free multis is pretty cool. I think maybe another touch on top of it would have been if every multi was at least one guaranteed legend. That would have been really nice too, because so many of these multis that we got for free were completely dead. They were absolute garbage. But at the end of the day, they're free multis. You can't expect too much from them. But the fact that these characters were pullable was awesome. And people in the community did pull these units. So shout out to those guys. So that was obviously really, really cool. This was a little strange as well, where they just kind of like reflecting on last year's anniversary, and this just didn't really make a lot of sense. I don't know why they did this. There was no reason to go through all this effort to make this GIF, to make this tweet. Literally could have been anything else. No real reason for them to do that. That was really, really stupid. And then obviously we had the Pirate Rumble with Big Mom, and honestly, this is another thing that I'm not a big fan of out of the anniversary, was, at least as of right now, right? We're finished May, we're into June. We only got one super evolution throughout the entire anniversary period, and it was dual Big Mom, and arguably is the worst legend super evolution of the year, which is just wild, right? Like, this is an anniversary celebratory period where we should be celebrating the game. They give us a super evolution of a character that I wanted to see at least get a super evolution, but what they did to the unit, I mean, some of the components are cool, but most of the components just don't make a lot of sense and are really bad. So yeah, a really bad choice of super evolution, and I think a lot of people had the idea that, you know, for New Year's, for the last couple of years on New Year's, we get a super evolution in regards to a Super Sugro Fest exclusive. During Global's anniversary earlier this year, we had the introduction of 6+ Final Tap Luffy. So we felt like it was a pretty good call that we were going to get a Super Sugro Fest 6+, but that has not happened. Now, we do know the after party is coming up very shortly, and there's a good chance that there might be a Super Evolution or two that might be coming, so we'll have to wait and see in regards to that. So overall, I think it was pretty disappointing in terms of the Rumble aspect and the unit they chose to Super Evolve for the anniversary month. Don't think it was a very good decision to do that. I mean, now that I'm just thinking about it, I know a lot of people are really hoping for that character to appear. I don't want to do any manga spoilers, but there is one particular character that when they do arrive in Treasure Cruise, it's going to be crazy. It's likely going to be a top grossing Sugro Fest banner. And I feel like because they know how big of an event that is, at least not even just in terms of Treasure Cruise, but in terms of the wider community of One Piece, I do feel like that they are probably going to save a lot of celebration stuff for that. I mean, that's tinfoil hat theory. I don't know anything in regards to it, but that would be cool if there is something to look forward to in the future. And then, of course, they actually give us the official reveal, and oh man, this was... this was pretty disappointing, honestly, when they gave us the first initial reveal of the anniversary character, and it was going to be Luffy and Yamato, and we're kind of just like, what? they give us this huge build up for the big anniversary period, and they give us Luffy and Yamato dual unit, and that's it as the reveal. But obviously we know how things transpired after that. So we had the Luffy Yamato and obviously the alternate arts themselves. This is just a big discussion point in and of itself. I don't understand why they made these alternate pens so difficult to acquire. Because literally, they said it was available on the treasure map. No players picked up these alternating pens at all in terms of screenshots. No one got them, not on global or on the Japan side. And the Japan community has A, more players, and B, more hardcore players as well, which you would think that from all of the runs that we had done on bonus maps between everyone in the game, someone would have dropped it. However, no one was able to get it. So I don't think that's going to be staying the same moving forward. At least I hope that is not going to be staying the same moving forward, considering no one was able to get it, and you need 5 of these items to make Luffy Yamato get the alternate artwork, and I assume that they're going to be introducing more of these in the future, so you would think that they're going to introduce more of them, that they should be giving us access to more alternating pens. Again, we'll have to wait and see about that. They also gave us the reveal of everything in regards to the anniversary, which is fine. The countdown quiz is garbage, but then 2 days before the Sugo Fest, we do get the reveal of the information of Luffy and Yamato. And look, I'm not the biggest fan of Luffy Yamato, and while I do respect how good that they are in terms of on paper and what they can do and their abilities, but in terms of the actual gameplay, game style, play style of this unit, not a big fan of them. I've never really been a big fan of dual units to begin with. I'm definitely more of a super type, super class, even captain action fan rather than dual unit. Definitely my least favorite of all the styles of units. So when they thought, you know, that this was going to be a really cool way to promote the anniversary to start with, I get why they had to do a Luffy, right? Luffy's the main character. Luffy always sells. It doesn't even matter, right? Like, they could have done a Gear 2nd Luffy, right? From freaking Enies Lobby for the anniversary, and people still would have ate it up. They just pretty much have to do Luffy on anniversaries. It's almost a given at this point, no matter what the situation is going on in the manga. As we kind of suspected, you know, we had a feeling Zora and Sanji were going to be happening, but, you know, Luffy, because it is somewhat close to other things, you know, maybe they're going to save Luffy for later, but no, they just decided, you know what, we're just going to give Luffy another legend as well. So it is what it is. But then this was probably one of the biggest head scratches of the entire anniversary. Oden and Toki, and I'm pretty sure I speak for a lot of people in the community when I say this, but what the hell? But to be honest, what they should have done, and I think a lot of people also agree with this, Oden and Toki probably should have just been the treasure map unit, and then Momonosuke should have been the side legend alongside Luffy Yamato. Would have made a bunch more sense, totally would have ate that up, and then you would have had Luffy and Yamato as well as Momonosuke, and then Momo could have been a super tandem unit and could have synergized well with Luffy and Yamato. It would have been amazing, but I don't know why they decided to do it this way. It was so weird. But Oden and Toki, I mean, in terms of what they do, their abilities being mono/slasher focused is a pretty big downside to their kit, in all honesty. You know, if they did exactly what they did, but they did that like slasher plus free spirit, this unit would be absolutely godly. But the fact that it is only slasher focused is a pretty big downside to the unit. But, you know, Oden and Toki, relatively good in Rumble. You know, they're fine, I guess. More quiz stuff, of course. Limit break expansions, I mean, no one really cares about this that much. I mean, some Rumble rare recruits, sure, but most of these characters are pretty bad and don't really matter. This was also kind of interesting. So this was the day before the anniversary. They give us a letter. It says, thank you for playing Treasure Cruise, blah, blah, blah. And they just basically say that it comes with Luffy and Yamato and other new characters. So I think they were kind of just alluding to the fact that more characters are coming. Don't fret, because the community went wild when they revealed Luffy and Yamato, and it was not really what we hoped to have happened. With parts 2 and parts 3 of the anniversary, that's exactly what we thought was going to happen. And, you know, this first release of the anniversary, Luffy Part 1, was an absolute miss. It just didn't work, just due to people's expectations. Well, yes, I do like the fact that they do try to subvert expectations at times. This was not a time to do that, I don't think. At least not the way that they did it. I think they probably learned their lesson. At least we hope that they've learned their lesson, so that next time we don't get a situation like that. Anyways, moving on past that, we have the friend invite thing, which is kind of trash. No one really cares about this. But then you had the introduction of Pirate King Adventures. I haven't actually made a dedicated video discussing my overall thoughts and opinions on Pirate King Adventures, so I'll probably will do that at some point. But man, Pirate King Adventures it's not a perfect game mode for sure, but like, I actually really enjoyed it. For like the first section of this game mode, you know, the actual grind of getting all the turtles, getting to level 150, I actually did enjoy it quite a lot. Now look, this is looking at it through the perspective of the anniversary occurring. We had the anniversary ship, which would max our specials at the start of the quest. Also the fact that we're able to pull for these anniversary units, which in turn helped for the Pirate King Adventures. So it's going to be interesting to see, after, you know, we get the new season of Pirate King Adventures, utilizing new characters, and how difficult is it going to be, you know, to beat Pirate King Adventures without that new batch at the time. Now, we did see that, you know, with the first season of Pirate King Adventures, beating it without Luffy Yamato, friend captain, very, very difficult to do, especially earlier on. You probably want to, you know, use those early levels to build up as much momentum as possible with those statues for your strength decks, quick sign, int colors, making them stronger so that it makes it easier to reach those higher levels. So again, I'll probably make a separate video discussing my thoughts and opinions on Pirate King Adventures in its entirety, but I think it was okay. But it's at the point now that when you beat 150, when you beat all the missions, there's really not much to do. I mean, yeah, you can continuously farm it every single day to get more turtles or to get a rare green ticket drop, I suppose, or some more super cola if you're lucky enough to find it. It just, there are issues for sure, but it's far from perfect, but it could have been a lot worse, that's for sure. This was also something interesting too, is the fact that they gave us a free multi on the official anniversary on May 12th PST, May 11th PST, May 12th JST. They gave us a free multi for it, but they didn't give us a free multi for Part 2 Sanji or Part 3 Zora. I felt that was a little strange. If they're going to split up this Sugo Fest and have, you know, these 3 different batches of characters, at least give us a free multi on each of them. Like, because before, you know, you'd have it where all the characters are debuting on one banner simultaneously, like last year and every other year before that. But the fact that they split it up over all these banners, it actually makes it so much harder to pull all of these units. So at least give us a free multi on each of them. Like, come on, man. Like, you even just scrap some of the early free multis before the Sugo Fest goes live to give us better opportunities to pull the units on the actual banners. Really, really stupid design choice. Don't like that they didn't give us one on Part 2 and Part 3. And then, of course, for 9th anniversary, we got given 99 rainbow gems, so you have to give massive thumbs up for that. Lots and lots of gems were given out throughout this entire event period, so that's really, really cool to see. And then, of course, more countdown stuff, or more quiz stuff, getting the answers to it, of course. And eventually we get to the stamp rally. So this was another really cool way for us to pick up some rainbow gems. Now this one wasn't like as exciting, it was just kind of like a whatever, more social media stuff, but we ended up totaling an additional 60 rainbow gems for each stamp rally, 1, 2, and 3. We did get 20 gems, which is cool, so that's awesome. And then they finally revealed to us Legend Sanji. This was really cool. When we saw this, we knew that, you know, the anniversary had finally arrived, you know? So this is what we're all hoping for. And not only that, it introduced the Rush Sugo Fest mechanic, which is what we wanted to see. And it is crazy to think about, right? With these 6 debuting legends throughout the entire anniversary period, only one of those 6 units debuted with Rush Sugo Special, which is just bizarre to me. That is just really crazy. So at least we do have now access to Sanji and his rush mechanic, and I think that this Sanji is going to be a very, very powerful unit moving forward. He's a phenomenal unit. If you guys haven't seen my tier list, I did rank him quite high. I think he's a very, very good unit, and I think if you compared and contrasted all of the anniversary units together, I think Sanji is probably the most valuable character to own from the Straw Hat based legends here. He's pretty cool. I think he's super strong. And then we had the introduction of Queen with Captain Actions making a return, which is kind of cool. You know, giving a little bit of a throwback to Sober Mask Legends. So Queen was a really nice addition. I really liked what they did here, but I'm still not a big fan of the structure of, you know, Part 1 release with a certain batch, Part 2 with another batch, Part 3 with another batch. It makes it very hard for people to pull these units, you know, because people are going to go really hard on one banner, but it's a really good way financially for Bandai, but it's a really scummy move from the perspective of a player, right? Because we have to decide where we're spending our gems, you know, spend some here, spend some on another banner, whereas if we all are able to compile them into one banner, spend a bunch on one banner, it gives us a much higher opportunity to potentially pull one of these units. So yeah, a little shitty for sure, but in terms of what the characters actually do, like the actual character designs, Part 2 was awesome with Queen and his Captain Actions, and Sanji, of course, with Captain Swapping and his Rush Sugo Special. Oh, then we had the Blitz battle as well. Oh my god, this was probably one of the worst Blitz battles ever. They really designed it in such a way where you needed to use the super switch of Luffy Yamato on the final stage in order to get around it, and really, like, the biggest issue here is, well, there were actually 2 big issues with the fight. The final stage having Intimidate is a big problem, so that's what made you have to use the dual special, like the super switch of Luffy Yamato. But then, of course, there was the other side of things, which was that Black Maria stage with damage limiter. And of course, you can just use, you know, Legend Frankie to bypass it, but you lose out on a lot of damage and a lot of points. So not a very wise decision to do that. So overall, I think it's a really terrible design decision what they did with this Blitz battle. The design was awful, and I guess it really comes down to the fact that they really wanted you to abuse Super Switch on the final stage. So the design of Luffy Yamato and how wonky they are has made content that they're made for even wonkier as well. It's just super weird. Don't like the design of this content at all. And then of course we eventually get to the treasure map, and I think overall the treasure map was actually pretty good. It obviously, with every single run having so many rainbow chests, the amount of tablets, tickets, and everything that you were able to acquire, limit break materials too, potions, so many materials you could pick up just by playing this treasure map. It was pretty freaking awesome. But of course, there was the big issue of the fact that the alternating pens were so difficult to get a hold of, which was the big glaring issue. And the fact that they said that there's these super rare bonus spots on the map, and if you land on them, you could get a special treasure. We now know, obviously, that it could have been a Rush Sugo special tablet, it could have been a Tandem tablet, a Final Tap tablet, but of course, a very small amount of the community were even able to find them at all. I mean, I landed on quite a few of them. I got some random tablets like Recovery Bind and stuff like that, but overall, most of them were pretty terrible. So I think it would have been nice, especially for people that spent like hours and hours and hours on this quest, to actually get something out of it. And, you know, just getting more Recovery Bind tablets or damage reduction tablets wouldn't really suffice. And I think that the unit itself, like the unit of Momo, is not a very good unit. I think that they could have designed the unit a bit better. Artwork obviously looks phenomenal. It's just that what the actual unit does isn't what we would have hoped for, but it synergizes well with Odin and Toki, and of course K-Dad and the rest of the scabbards. And then right at the end of the treasure map, we get the reveal of the Roronoa Zora. Obviously we had the anime episode debut, and then we have this come out, and this looks so cool. And in terms of what this unit does, this unit is a real head scratcher too. I don't really understand why they made this stupid Enma gauge as difficult as it is to max out. In short form content like Kizuna Clash, for example, it's very difficult to get that in an effective way, and they really tried to make it as annoying as possible whilst using this Zora in the Kizuna Clash. And it is kind of funny how, you know, they made this unit so built for that content, for that Kizuna. They like shoehorned in certain mechanics to make it so that Zora would actually work, and it's just so dumb. And I just think that it would have been a wiser decision if Bandai charged his gauge at the start of the quest. Would have made things a lot easier to deal with, but no, they really went out of their way to make it as difficult as possible. Special though and Super Tandem are phenomenal for this guy, and his captain is very good if you can get the gauge up to max. And then of course we have Alba, and whew, Alba's probably my favorite unit that they released throughout the entire anniversary period. I can see myself using this character a lot. His design looks really cool, his animation is also very nice, and then obviously what he does is fantastic, and great synergy with the Legend Queen that released previously versus Kaido during New Year's, and obviously the Int Jack that debuted right before the anniversary period. These four units have some of the best synergy that we've ever seen in One Piece Treasure Cruise, and not only do they deal some of the highest damage potential in the game together, but they can get around a crap load of debuffs as well, which is fantastic to see. So Alba is probably my favorite of all the anniversary legends that they released this year. I think Sanji's probably my second favorite, and then third favorite, it's probably Zora, despite the fact that he's annoying to use, but it just a lot of the visuals and the aesthetics of that unit really rank it up high for me. But you know, Alba's definitely by far my favorite. And then of course we have the Kizuna Clash versus Alba, and this was an interesting one too. You know, obviously we already talked about it, how they kind of shoehorned certain mechanics into that into the actual Kizuna to make Zora work. The actual gimmicks as well. The gimmicks, man. Like, this gimmick page is just crazy to look at, and the Intimidate is one of the worst things they could have brought into the game. I understand why they have done it though, because the thing is they have scaled damage so fast in this game by being able to stack conditional boosts and having all of these damage increasing effects, that Super Boss Kizunas can literally be cleared in like 1 to 2 runs. And we saw many players with max Super Tandem characters completely destroy super bosses on their own accord. So that's crazy, right? Imagine doing one super boss run at like level, let's say like level 100, and you're still able to clear it, right? It's because you get to 1 trillion HP, and the boss doesn't scale higher than that. And the fact that people were able to do 1 trillion HP in one single super boss run, they've obviously found a bit of an issue here. And the only way that they can really combat that is by applying these super oppressive debuffs on everyone. So the fact that the whales are able to hit these high damage numbers really hurts the rest of us, actually, because it makes the content way more difficult to deal with. And we've seen that with versus quick, they apply this negate type effects thing, but, you know, obviously, you know, it's a pretty straightforward thing. If you just die with Brook, revive, and then, you know, obviously you remove all the debuffs on your crew. And the fact that, you know, funnily enough, they brought along a legend in the anniversary that is a dex unit versus quick that allows you to switch into the captain position for you to get rid of Brook. So it just worked out perfectly, honestly. And just the gimmicks are just really, really strange, but the gimmicks are very oppressive. And Intimidate is so annoying too, because Intimidate to get rid of conditional boosts on this Psy fight made this Psy fight such a grind in comparison to the other two fights. Versus Quick was the easiest for sure in terms of the amount of damage you could reach. Strength, you could still do very good damage against it. I believe my alliance was able to do, well, at least, you know, probably, at least for in terms of me, I was able to do 150 billion versus Strength. So not too many runs, you know, still quite a few, but, you know, it wasn't as bad. But versus Psy took a very long time for our team to complete, and versus Quick was very, very easy. So we'll have to see how it goes. And obviously the regular Kizuna, it is what it is, but yeah, some of the gimmicks here were kind of strange too. You know, the fact that they just did a lot of these effects that were focused around using Zora, like damage limiter on Kizuna, and then the ability to type change. These effects shouldn't be on Kizunas. They just shouldn't be. It's not the way that this content is supposed to be played. Like, you're supposed to build a team versus whatever the boss color is. You shouldn't have to worry about whether the boss changes color. Terrible design choice. And then also having a damage limiter on a Kizuna boss, which has exponentially scaling HP, not a very good idea either, in my opinion. I think the versus Psy fight was pretty fair though, but overall, very, very strange design choices this Kizuna for sure. And then we get to Grand Party. We already know Grand Party is the worst game mode in the game, so there's not really much else to talk about. At this current point in time, you know, we're with Vankov releasing now, but we are at a point where we're moving into the after party, right? We do know that there is going to be a new Grand Voyage dropping very shortly, which is going to be very, very interesting to see what the most optimal team is to go up against that will be. But it is going to be interesting to see what they do for the after party. What theming are they going with? A lot of people have pointed out that a lot of the Film Red characters are boosted for the upcoming treasure map in June. So people have been theorizing that maybe the after party is solely focused on Film Red. I'm not too sure. I don't subscribe to that theory. I still think it's going to be Wano related, due to the fact that the finale of Wano campaign, it ends in June 24th, I believe. So that campaign is still ongoing, and it wouldn't really make sense to have Film Red collaboration stuff at that point in time. But we'll wait and see. But overall, I think the anniversary was probably the same as last year, if not maybe a little bit worse. One thing that I really didn't like about this anniversary period was the lack of acknowledgement from Bandai's end, you know, saying thank you to the community. Like, there was basically only one tweet, the tweet where they said everyone receives 99 gems. That was basically it. Maybe the letter, I guess you could kind of counter that as well, but there wasn't a lot of acknowledgement and recognition from Bandai's end to the community, and having just more community related things. Like last year, we had our community manager who was able to provide a live stream and answer questions and do questionnaires, and also had us on there, like us being the content creators, for interviews in regards to the anniversary characters. Stuff like that would have been awesome, but unfortunately we never got things like that. So I think it honestly is a step back. You have to say it is a step back from last year. And obviously the structure of the Sugo Fest being part 1, part 2, part 3 weeks apart, rather than all of them debuting at the same time, definitely better for Bandai's end financially, but for us, the players, definitely a worse experience to deal with, that's for sure, right? So yeah, overall, I think that the actual 9th anniversary is much worse overall compared to what it was last year. But we move forward, we keep playing this game, of course, and the next big thing to look forward to would probably be One Piece Day. That's what I'm gonna say. I think One Piece Day is gonna be probably the next big thing to look forward to. So we'll have to wait and see. Whenever that appears, I'm not even going to talk about it, of course, but whenever that appears, it's going to be a big time for not only Treasure Cruise, but the rest of the One Piece community as a whole. But let me know your thoughts and opinions overall about the 9th anniversary down below in the comment section. Really hope you guys have enjoyed this video today. If you guys did, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. And that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.